to the Comedians Paradise. This is where we talk to comedians, comedy producers, comedy club organizers, and mavericks across the comedy world. Now, today's guest is related to the world renowned English footballer in the noughties who was the supporter of Michael Owen. His name is Heski, like Emil Heski, the footballer. Uh, he is also from the same family as him. He's related to him. No, I'm just he is a great comedian. He's got many stories to tell, but today's topic will be talking about mental health and comedy. I think it's a great thing he's doing, and he's got many stories to tell us. You're going to absolutely welcome Heski.
Hello, you alright?
I'm good. I'm good. I am right-handed, Heski.
Yeah. So shall I give you a right handshake?
You don't know where my right hand has been, so I'm sorry
Oh
about that.
no.
No, I'm
Oh
joking.
no.
But isn't that a
Uh,
common joke in England? Whenever you say right hand,
um
isn't that a bit
well, I think
racist against
oh
left-hand
well,
people?
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think everyone gets up to naughty things with their writing hand, don't
Fair enough.
they? uh
Sticky situations, eh?
yes, mate. It can put you in sticky situations and get you out of sticky situations.
Okay.
uh
Now, for anyone that hasn't heard about you before, just tell us a brief story about yourself and how you got into comedy and what led you to setting out this fantastic comedy night for mental health.
so Oh man, so basically, I wanted to get into comedy when I was really young. I was about 9 years old, and we were doing like a karaoke night at a youth club, and I didn't do the karaoke. I just rinsed all my mates on the front row watching the karaoke night and destroyed them. And it just left a little mark in me that getting those laughs was like incredible. And then I've always been like the class clown in school. I never really done well in school, and I went through a lot of childhood trauma whilst I was at school. So I was always trying to be the class clown and lighting up everyone else's day. And yeah, and then eventually over time, um, it just never happened. And then I met my wife, and I was about to turn 21 when I met her, and we've been together 17 years. And I've told her since day one that I've wanted to do stand up, and she's always been behind me, like, oh, go and do it, go and do it, just go and do an open mic, go and do it. And I never did. And then I went through a mental health crisis myself, and on my rehabilitation of going counselling, going sober, and about 8 months into therapy, I decided, right, I'm going to tell my son to chase his dream one day. And I feel like a hypocrite that I'm stuck on a building site, not chasing mine, and I'm going to go for it. So I booked an open mic, and it went really well. And then I've just been hammering it, mate. It's just been some amazing things have happened in a short amount of time. So, and yeah, and basically the comedy night for the men's mental health, um, that all came about because I've been through my own mental health crisis. I know what it's like to feel like self-loathing and not being yourself, and not seeing the brightness. Just everything feels clouded over. There's a haze. You just feel you're there, but you're coasting through life. You're not there with clarity, and it's the worst place to be. So doing a mental health night to raise money for people who can't afford their own private counselling, or they need to get into a dry house or something like that. It just made sense, because I was in a lucky position where I could pay for private counselling, and it literally changed my direction of my life, and everything since going sober and having therapy in my life has been the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. So I want other people to sort of use that and see that they can get better as well.
So,
So
yeah, it's a great thing you do. But one thing I want to ask, because there's people that won't understand it or won't see
Yeah,
what's beyond it. So for anyone that is, maybe they're going through it and they don't see it in
yeah.
mental health, but for anyone that isn't kind of aware of what the struggles of men's mental health, what do the signs look like, and when did you
The
realize you needed help?
I mean, the three obvious signs, which were massive red flags, which people, um, so as a man, right, I'd never be violent to my wife, okay, because I had to witness my dad being violent to my mum, and I couldn't protect her. I couldn't protect her, right, when she was young, and it broke me, right. So I'd never be violent. But when I was going through my, when I was shelling up, and I wasn't being myself in my own home. And bearing in mind, I've been with my wife a long time. We know each other like the back of our hands. But when I was coming home from work, Monday to Friday, I couldn't communicate with her. I just shelled up. So the first warning sign is communication. If your partner's not talking to you, whether it's male or female, they're in their head, right? They're trapped in their head. They're overwhelmed with anxiety, and their thought process is just working at such a high rate they can't communicate with their partner. They don't want to tell their partner what's going wrong, because and this is mainly for the men's side, because women can talk for Britain, and they can really like uh emotionally tell their friends exactly what they're going through. Whereas with men, we shell up. We don't want to show signs of weakness. We don't want to be completely honest. And the last thing we want to be doing is telling our partners this is how we feel when we're trying to be the man of the house. And it's such a dangerous headspace, because you feel like when you're going through it as a man, you feel like you're the only person in the world carrying the weight of the world on their shoulder. But it's only until you go past that that you actually start seeing that loads of people have gone through this. And until you start opening up about counselling and therapy, that you then start seeing that, oh, actually, loads of people have had therapy. So I think the main telltale signs, to wrap it up, is lack of communication. If your partner is on their phone constantly with their head buried in their phone, not wanting to converse, that is a massive warning sign. And also the verbal attack I would give my wife. So she would ask me simple questions like, "Oh, what do you want for dinner tonight? What are we doing? Or what are we doing this weekend?" And because my brain was so overwhelmed, I would just hit back with, "Why are you talking to me? Just leave me alone. I don't want to talk." Stuff like that was flying out of my mouth. And because we were both going through our own stuff, we just did we were oblivious to it. Now we know the warning signs. I think lack of communication, verbal aggression towards your partner, because you're not being able to release your emotion. You're only able to release any emotion via anger, because you're nearly like angry with yourself that you're feeling a certain way. It's really dangerous headspace, man. And um, it's such a shame that a lot of men don't go and get the help that they need, because they can take their lives. 2 out of 3 suicides will be male. Because when we're in that headspace of self-loathing and not feeling worthy and all that, it will take you down a very, very dark, dangerous road. That's just the facts. But I was basically self-sabotaging, and that's a term that they use when I went to counselling. And basically, you're basically trying to plan your exit, right? And I wasn't planning to kill myself or anything like that. I was planning to mess up my marriage and damage it so bad that I could walk away from my wife and my current life and start anew. And that's how twisted I got in the head. Whereas I thought, well, this moment of impact is going to be like a reset for me. It's going to be a reset financially. I'm going to be able to walk away clean slate. Like, what was I thinking? I wasn't thinking straight. Me and my partner have been so happy since the day that we've met. And what triggered me to get into that headspace, that frenzy, was actually a planned pregnancy. You know, we were together for 14 years before my missus and I started trying. And when we tried, we got pregnant really quick. And as I got older, slowly the connection to having a child depleted. But I wasn't completely honest with my wife that I was having second thoughts about having a child. So I was carrying weight into the pregnancy that I didn't, I didn't really want to have a kid. And when she told me she was pregnant, I said to her, look, I'm going to go sober with you during the pregnancy. Because there's no way she was going to drink or anything. And I lasted 3 weeks, and then I went the polar opposite way, and I was drinking every weekend religiously, and I was doing loads of drugs, and it was spiraling my mental health down a very steep hill. And then basically, yeah, I got trapped in the process of having to drink and do drugs
Oh,
to get myself into a normal headspace, because I thought that was normality, because I couldn't live in my sober head frame of anxiety, overwhelming thoughts, negativity. The only way I could snap out of that was to get high and drink with my mates and push her and her family away. I was rejecting the whole situation. So, a lot of this, I just don't want other people to make the same mistakes that I did, because I nearly lost everything. My wife kicked me out of the house. I didn't get to spend my first Christmas with my son. I didn't even get to spend our wedding anniversary together, because I damaged everything so much from the actions that I chose to take in that headspace. So yeah, man, it's a dangerous thing, man. Men's mental health. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. And I know there's so many people going through it. Times are really, really hard now. It's, everyone's on the breadline financially. I'm self-employed as well, so I carry more weight because the buck lies with me. And a lot of the working class men out there are silently suffering. That's the simple facts. And it's not just the working class, it's every male which is trying their hardest to keep the family afloat.
hmm. But,
But
but if you did mention it out loud to a lot of people, and if men a lot of the times, and this is not being, but a lot of them would say something insensitive, say gay or something, or they would say
yeah, I mean, look,
it's a lot of
I used to be that guy that would say to my mates, if they're like, oh, I'm really like struggling with anxiety, I used to be like, mate, what are you talking about? Just fucking snap out of it. That used to be my answer, because I never went through it. And the dangerous thing with mental health is, until you've gone through it yourself, you'll never have empathy for anyone who's been through it or going through their struggles. So I learned a lot, obviously rehabilitating myself. So it's like, accountability is what you need to, accountability for your actions, for what you've caused. Because I was very, very quick just to put the blame on my wife. Oh, how could she do this to me? Why has she done this to me? She's gonna fuck my life up. We agreed to try for a child, yet I'm trying to turn the situation on her. You know, it's just people who say that stuff. It's like, if you're being open and honest in that situation, and one of your mates is chirping up saying stuff like that, they're doing it to make light of the situation, right? But 9 times out of 10, people will drop their guard and have a serious chat, or one of the friends in the friends group will, at least, because they may have gone through it. It's you're as a man, you're not just going to open up and go to the pub with all your boys and there's like 15 of them there and everyone's like, hey, yeah, you're right, man, yeah, and then you're just going to go open up in front of all of them in the group and say, I'm really struggling with my mental health. I just can't see anyone doing that, or any group of friends accepting that. It's more of a one-on-one thing. For me, I personally, that's what I feel. You know, you don't console into groups. It's a dangerous environment, in my opinion. But you know, people who do say that in jest, yeah, they're trying to make light of it, but it's damaging because that little olive branch that they just gave you to like draw something out of them and try and make it better, and they put that up to you, that block. You don't know what you've just done to that person. It's very dangerous. You've got to be careful with words. Are powerful, man. And if someone's really going through something bad, and in that moment when they needed you the most, and you block them like that, it's damaging. It's damaging to a relationship, you know.
Yeah. What's his face? There's a comedian that I had on here called Mark Ryan, who's a bogan in Australia, and he
Yeah,
told me that the thing that's great about therapy is that he can unpack a lot of things and there's no judgment. And he says that he's scared when he does it with friends because he's worried that they'll come up and say it to someone and use it against him. And that's always the big
yeah,
fear as a man, isn't it? That
yeah. I know. It's I feel like the further you get into rehabilitating yourself, so with therapy, and I mean, for me, so being sober has made me feel like I'm superhuman, because like my thought process at the moment is so clear, and my vision and target fixation on everything is and things are happening, like the energy that I'm putting back into the world, it's coming back. The universe is flooding me with positivity. Now, yes, to a degree, if you tell the wrong person some information, and it comes back to bite you, well, you need to be careful who you open up to. And this is why I think counselling is one of the most powerful things you can do. Because if you go and tell your best mate, oh, this happened to me when I was younger, oh, a family member done this to me, or this, that, or whatever your root cause of your adult behavior is, because normally it's childhood trauma which has triggered you into that headspace, right? And the best thing about counseling is you're having a one-on-one with a professional who's not going to chirp in and say, oh, start saying, oh, so and so would did it, so and so this, and your mum and this, and your mum. They don't know anyone. They don't know your family. They don't know your friends. They just know them as names, because you're constantly name dropping as you're going through the process of talking about everything. And that's why I feel counselling. You know, a lot of people like to call it therapy. It's the same, whatever. But I honestly really rate it, because I was in such a negative headspace about being a father. Once I talked about a positive input in my life, that's when the counsellor, who was trained, at the end of the session pinpointed on that one section and then said, look, what you just said about that person, that's the energy that you need to be putting into your son. And it was like a light bulb went off, and I was like, I was so target fixated on the negative impact that my father put on me growing up that I didn't even think of a positive solution, apart from, thankfully, my best friend's dad really looked after me growing up in my teens, and he showed me how to love and care, because he was showing me how he loved and cared for his son, who was my best friend. And it was only until I was talking about him, his name was Chris, that 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 was the turning point for me. And if I had a chat with one of my mates, that little moment, that critical moment of information, where she then spun it and put it into a positive heads, it changed everything for me, mate. So I know I sound like I'm waffling a bit, so I do apologise, but yeah, it's
I'm trying to find a video on it because there was a video that Dapper Laughs put up. He's doing the show, isn't he? Dapper Laughs.
yeah. So basically, how this all came about, right? I done Marcus Tisson's mental health charity night, and I was just like blown away. And Marcus has been like a bit of a mentor for me. He's a really good friend in comedy, and I was just like, this is amazing. I need to do something like this in Bournemouth, because it was in Portsmouth. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, oh man, like this, I need to do something like this and have a really, really good headliner on who's gone through mental health and sobriety. And obviously Daniel O'Reilly, who's known as Dapper Laughs, he's been very public with his sobriety and his mental health and his counselling. And I was about 8 months into my sobriety and counselling, and then I started seeing his posts come through. And he is very, very articulate on being able to explain that we weren't alcoholics. We were just relying on drugs and alcohol to snap us out of our headspace. Whereas obviously alcoholics is very different. They are alcohol dependent. They can't get up, So he was very good at explaining what I couldn't verbalize to my friends. So I knew he was going to be the perfect candidate. So I wanted Dan to come to Bournemouth and headline Men's Mental Health Charity Night, which was going to be held at the Pavilion in Bournemouth. They've got a really nice ballroom at the back, and it was a 500-seater, which I thought was just massive, because I haven't been in comedy that long, and I could only really sell out on a pro night 80 seats. So for me, 500 was like, whoa, that's massive. Like, how are we going to do it? And Dan was like, look, trust me, don't worry, we'll sell that out, so quick. And then his his Men in the Emotions Facebook page, where he does a lot of his positivity posts and stuff like that, went to charity status last November. And then things just started clicking. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, if it's now a charity, I was like, I want to run this night, and everything raised, I want it to go through Men in Their Emotions. And I said, and I really, really want the money to be spent on men's counselling for people who can't afford it privately, because the NHS isn't the best, right? And then basically time was ticking, and I was running out of time to secure the venue. And Dan was on tour at the time, and he was just about to have another child. So the timing of it all was starting to dwindle, and I was worried that the night was going to get lost. And then he sort of said, look, a lot of the acts that you've booked are London acts. We're going to spend a load of money on their travel expenses. Can we change the venue? And I was like, look, man, if you want to change the venue and make it into a bigger, better thing, I'm more than happy to let you run with it. And we were chucking back and forth venues, and I sort of said, Hot Water in Liverpool's got a 600-seater. The Comedy Store's 400-seater. The Backyard Comedy Club's 350-seater. And then I was like, but also the London Indigo is a good size venue if you really want to level up. And he pursued it and got into talks with them, and the next thing I know, mate, it's happening. Friday the 18th of July, Men in Their Emotions Men's Mental Health Charity Night. And bless Dan, he knows that I'm not years and years into this, but he's still allowing me to host the night because I came up with the concept. So, I mean, that goes to show his character, like, because if he could have pushed me out of this
Yeah,
and
yeah,
run
yeah.
with it and taken full control and been like, yeah, look, mate, this just come on as a do a 5 or a 10 or, you know. And I said to Dan, I was like, look, I was like, there's only one person who this means more to than me to host, and I was like, and that's you. That's you, Daniel O'Reilly, right? I said, if you're willing to host it yourself, and I'm an act, and I'll do a 10 spot or whatever, that's the only way I'd be happy to sort of step down, because it just means so much to me this night. Like, there'll be no one else in the comedy world who's been going for years and years and years, whatever, that it will actually mean something to them. They're just going to rock up and host it, and it's another gig to them. Do you know what I mean? Whereas for me, I feel so heavily connected with it. Um, I'm just very passionate about helping other people now, you know, because yeah, I've been through it, man. It's not a good place to be at all. It's heartbreaking, and families are getting destroyed because men, once they fall down, they can't pick themselves back up again, you know. And once we hit that rock bottom, it's hard work to get yourself back up, because, you know, once a man's down and we're in that self-loathing phase, we can't see the end. We can't see that things are going to turn back round and better days are coming, you know. So this is why this night's so important, because I've been there myself. Dan's been there himself. I believe one of the acts, Daryl, has also gone through his own mental health struggles, and he's sober as well. So we're not doing this to push sobriety. You know, 3 of us out of 6 are sober, but it's absolutely helped us get to where we want to go, and we're just riding the wave of it all, man. It's just been a mental 18 months for me.
Yeah.
But
But what you're saying there about mental health, a lot of comedians, it's quite well publicized that a lot of comedians and entertainers suffer from mental health. So this
yeah,
is what you're doing is have an effect on more than, I mean, with comedy, you've seen it yourself. There's a lot of struggles, and doing comedy that it mentally challenges you.
yeah. I mean, it is stressful. Comedy comedy for me means a lot, because I've stopped riding motorbikes since becoming a parent. That, like, I'm well into, like, um off-roading and sports bikes and stuff like that. And since having a kid, it's taking time away from me being a parent, because it was always a weekend thing.
Yeah.
Comedy for me is now my, like, new adrenaline fix, because I've always been into, like, extreme sports. And it's a dangerous line for me, because the ups and downs of comedy, like, when you're flying high, like last night I went to Liverpool and went to Hot Water Comedy Club, yeah. And I'm not saying this to be big-headed, I crushed last night. But tonight, when I go to Frog and Bucket, I could bomb my ass off, right? And be in a world of pain mentally all week. Oh, what went wrong? And, you know, you're always up on, like a tipping scale of happiness. It's really, it's nearly like self-punishment as a comic. I don't know why we do it, but also it's like when you get that room rocking and they're all laughing, it's the most rewarding thing. But sometimes it just is not your night, and it it definitely can play with your mental health when you have a bad gig, you know. But it's part of the journey of being a stand-up comedian. You cannot have your cake and eat it in this industry. And the more people I speak to on the circuit, a lot of them have got into comedy off the back of a mental health crisis. and they've gone counselling, or they've got, it's it's a very empowering thing, because I feel like once you've gone through that darkness, nothing scares you anymore. So what was holding me back to get up and get on the stage and do comedy was the fear of no one laughing, was the fear of not doing well, and you talk yourself out of it because of the negativity that you're putting into your own brain. But once you've gone through some hardship and you've had to take a look in the mirror and really fix your life, all of a sudden doing stand-up comedy is a piece of piss, because you've gone through something harder. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a very empowering thing to do off the back of something so bad, you know?
But what is your advice for comedians? Because in the Edinburgh Fringe, you see a lot of comedians struggle with their mental health. They start trying
But
to take it out on other acts. You see all the
oh
time
man,
comedians struggle with
look,
mental health. What's your
I,
advice to comics that struggle with their health?
my advice to comedians who are being too hard on themselves, because that's what's happening. Um, you need to dust yourself off and move on to the next gig as quickly as possible. Because if you dwell on a really bad gig, or if someone said something to you, or, the comedy clique, I've learnt a lot in a short amount of time, right? It's so cliquey, and it's painful that it's very much like that. And I've started gigging further afield because I don't like the cliquiness of my local circuit. But when I go and gig further away, you hear it's exactly the same over there.
Yeah,
So you just got to pick your team members better. If you know what I'm saying? Because if you really, really get on with someone, but they don't run a comedy night, and you can't get anything from it, because some people are really selfish in comedy, they're using you to leverage what they can get from you. Well, that's not a real connection, right? For my advice is to get real connections with people who you genuinely have good energy with, right? If you know someone's a bit of a snake, you shouldn't be hanging around with them. If you can hear them saying bad things about acts behind their backs and not trying to level everyone up, they're on a different frequency. You need to stay away from those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very dangerous game to connect with the wrong people in this industry, is what I feel.
yeah,
And I people who do the Edinburgh Fringe, I haven't done it myself. It is definitely a target thing for me to do. I'd love to go and do an hour solo show one day, but also the graft involved, and there's other routes now. Like, Edinburgh Fringe used to be like the pinnacle, the top tier entry for getting your name out there, but you are sort of self-punishing yourself by doing that. Your energy could be better spent trying to get better gigs in different areas than spending a load of money to be in one place for 1 month and putting yourself through that mental psyche. You could be spending that money traveling to go 2 hours away, 3 hours away, to start building more of a network with real comics. I kind of get the impression that Edinburgh Fringe, it's a bit smoke and mirrors. That's the impression that I get, and it can break people. You know, I would, yeah, I would just tell comics to really don't be hard on themselves. Don't try not to read into everything too much, too deeply. And if someone's pissed you off, try not to spend too much time around that person in an intensified situation like the Fringe. Just remove yourself from that situation and take a breather, and put your energy into something better.
Okay, I'm going to share a story, and I want to see what you think of it.
Okay.
So, I last year there was a particular toxic and dodgy individual which I've blocked on all platforms, and I've got rid
Yeah.
of. Um, they messaged me for something last year, and I completely ignored them. But then again,
Yeah.
they tried to message me again. The first time I did it, what I should have done, been a bit more polite and have been a bit less abrupt. But they tried getting in contact again.
Right.
This time, I'm not going to say what they did, but I have said on previous podcasts. But the thing is, they've done a lot of things that for me crossed the line. And I
Yeah.
felt that if they're going to be dodgy and do some horrendous things over something small, what are they
Yeah.
going to do in the long run? And I
Yeah.
just said to them, look, mate, I'm glad you're doing well. Hope life's good. But you
Yeah.
cross certain lines with me. You said and
Yeah.
done certain things I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I hope is all.
Yeah.
But that's what I said, and I blocked them and left
Yeah.
it at that. I think
Mate,
that's the best thing to do.
yeah, that's good. At the end of the day, you're a grown ass man and you need to set boundaries. Any human being needs to set boundaries if someone's upset them. It's simple as if someone has riled me up the wrong way, I will address it with them. Yeah, and if we disagree, then I will keep them at arm's length. It's as simple as that, you know. If we can make an amicable agreement, when we'll smooth it over and carry on. You know, you just got to be an adult about it. You know, it's easier said than done because it does. Comedy can sometimes be really playground and bitchy. You know, the comedy circuit, and it's a shame. It
It
shouldn't
is.
be. You know, we really, really should be leveling everyone up, injecting positivity because everyone's still got the dream of making it as a stand up, right? People don't just get into doing stand up for the sake of doing stand up, right? And if anyone says otherwise, I don't believe them, you know. We are all in this together. You never know who's going to make it as well in this industry. So why burn a bridge? You don't want to burn a bridge. You want to be positively putting energy into people to make them believe that they can make it. That's what I believe. Anyone I speak to, I always give them advice. I always try and big them up because I believe that any person who's brave enough to get on that stage deserves that mutual respect. You know, it doesn't matter if someone's not very good on the circuit, and you know, but they're still turning up. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if you see someone and they're terrible for a year, 3 years, 6 years, whatever. They're still turning up and chasing it. So who the fuck are you to tell them that they're shit and upset them or sabotage them or you know block them from getting a certain gig or you know that's not what this is about. You know we should all be helping each other, but they're also if they've crossed a line and a boundary you know has has been the bridge has been burnt, you can't put that energy into someone like that.
I all that effort into trying it is a lot of effort you could do into your set and getting better. But also, yeah, I think keeping your space clean, I feel, is more important than other things. I'd much rather have a clean headspace and clean surroundings
Yeah.
than if they could get me in this bit or that bit.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
mental energy of dealing with someone that brings a lot of bullshit and nothing good.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh mate, I can read energy. I can read energy of body language and people's frequencies better than I ever have been able to since going sober, right? And if I can feel that negativity around me, I simply remove myself from it. I'm not willing for you to bring me down or try and bring me down because you're in a bad mood. I'm not interested. I will simply remove myself. It isn't going to work on me, man. I've worked too hard to get into this positive headspace, and I'm not going to let anyone, you know, ruin that for me ever. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, you just got to be careful. Be careful who you're mixing with, mate. You know, if someone comes in and they're like, oh, fucking is that, you don't need to converse with them. You can just be like, oh, well, I hope your situation gets better,
Yeah,
and move on and talk to someone else. Do you know what I mean? All they want to do is vent out and put their frustration and negativity onto someone else. I'm not willing for you to empty your can of negativity into me. No. Go do that on someone else who's willing to let it happen to. Do you know what I mean? To a point, to a degree, if it's trivial and they're being horrible about someone, or it's not, they're trying to put other people down, that is a massive no-no for me. If they're going to open up to me and they're in a negative headspace and they want to talk and open up to me, that's a very different. I'm more than willing to be a mutual person for them to talk to, so they can vent off that stuff. I'm more than happy for that. But when it comes to like trivial stuff or bitchiness and, you know, oh, they said this, they said that, oh, this, they promised me this, I'm just not interested, you know?
yeah. Uh, but following on, so you gig a lot outside and all of that. You must
Yeah,
find that a lot of fun and have a lot of adventures because you get to meet lots of great comedians from different parts of the UK, and you
yeah,
get to see different audiences, and you get to learn
yeah,
from great comics and how they deal with them.
yeah, yeah. It's been amazing, honestly. Like, a lot of the time I don't get to spend that much time with the comics after, because I'm sober. I can drive back home from a gig no matter where it is. I've got a family, so I need to be cautious of my actions of what I'm doing after a gig. But the small pockets where it does happen is exceptional. It's a lot of fun hanging around with the comedians after a show. And yeah, I've been really lucky to gig with some of the best comedians in the UK this year, and it's amazing to watch them. It's just amazing to watch comedians what they can do when they have more time allocated. There's more time for crowd work. There's more time for intimacy. There's more time just to absolutely kill the room. There's time to lull the room and bring it back up. And, it's been amazing to watch all that. I've always been such a big fan of comedy. So to be in it, in the pocket of it, and just being able to watch the greats up close, and learn from them is a blessing, man. Absolute blessing. Yeah, I love it. It's definitely been an adventure. Is a good word. It was a good word, that one. Yeah.
And so when one thing that I've heard from Gareth Berliner, and he says because he has all sorts, he's been through all sorts of physical things, mental health issues, and he said that when he was able to joke about it, it made him
Yeah.
feel so much better. And other
Yeah.
people in the crowd were like, "Oh, I can relate to that," and they felt better
Yeah.
as well. So when
Yeah.
you're going in talking about joking about different things and also talking about some of the painful things you feel, how do
Yeah.
you feel afterwards? And what's been like the most amazing moment you've had when you talked about something
Um.
painful from an audience member?
So the more time I have, the more I can divulge into it, right? So if I have a 10-minute spot, I'm very cheeky in my set, about my old drug habits and stuff like that. But then I open up that I'm actually sober, and that's really all I can really fit in a 10, because I still need to entertain and be funny, right? If I do a 15 or a 20, and I've been lucky enough to do a couple half an hours this year, that's when I can really open up about it. And 9 times out of 10, after a set, someone will always come up to me and congratulate me on my sobriety, and they will open up about their struggles. And I feel like that, having that connection with the audience, and for them to make the effort to come and see me after the show and open up about it, Like, prime example, I done a gig for a Resistance comedy in Enfield. I think it was last Friday. It was a fantastic gig. And again, I opened up about my sobriety, and was playful with it. And as I'm leaving the venue, a lady was like sort of chasing me, and I was like,
Oh,
yeah. And I sort of looked around. I was like thinking, is everything all right? And she goes, oh, excuse me, are you? Because obviously I dress up. I say I dress up. I wear a certain attire on stage, but obviously it's so hot in it, I got to take it off straight away. So a lot of people don't know it's me when I leave the venue. So anyway, I was leaving the venue and she come running after me and she just goes, oh, I just really wanted to say how it was really, really empowering how open you were about your struggles. And, you know, then I ended up having a half an hour conversation with her at the venue, and then a few of her girls come over and we were just having an open conversation about, you know, drink, drugs, mental health. It felt really, really healthy. It felt very, very positive. And it's just so nice to be able to add that in your set. Yes, make a joke of it to a degree, but also be serious enough that people are on board and they're rooting for you. You know, it's a very empowering feeling, mate. I love it. I love being able to talk about my troubled past now, because I feel like since fixing myself, it's nearly a part of my mission is to try and help others. I can't describe the feeling. It's an overwhelming inner feeling. Right, you've gone through your stuff, you've gone through your struggles. Now it's time to help others. And if I can open up in my comedy set, and it touches one person, or it opens up a conversation for them when they get home with their partner, this is what it's all about.
mm. And yeah, it's amazing the effect that comedy can have on people. I mean, I know the couple of times I've had it. One instance, there was this guy that was close to dying, and he was about to go, and
Yeah,
this lady and lovely lady and her husband brought their friend along, and he ended up being a big star on the night, and people like he got big laughs, and comedians were
yeah,
engaging with him. But she said, "Thank you for doing this because
yeah,
he's about to go, and you've really helped him feel
yeah,
better."
yeah,
And when you hear stories also about, "Oh, I've had a bad day," and you've really sort of helped the night, and the
yeah,
audiences come out after and say, "We really appreciate you putting on the night, and you really,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's a great thing you do." And it's
yeah,
also there's a comedian I had on a couple of weeks ago, Ger Staunton, Jer Staunton. He's going to hit me for that.
yeah,
And he says a lot of the times when some comedian makes a masturbation joke and like the audience are uncomfortable, like
yeah,
if it's an old and you laugh, you think you're a legend making an old guy
yeah,
uncomfortable. You don't know how many
yeah,
evenings he has left, and you need to
yeah,
understand the effort that people have taken out of their day to come and watch you.
yeah, yeah,
It's a powerful thing that we do.
yeah, absolutely, man. It's comedy feels very censored at the moment. And to a point it upsets me that it feels like we can't really poke the bear and talk about anything at the level that I'm at, because there's risk of getting cancelled. But also in the same breath, I'm not using my comedy to be that guy. I want to spread I want to spread a bit of positivity and just pick up the energy in people. That I just want people to have a good night. I want people to leave and just feel like happy, not pissed off. Do you know what I mean? But some people's mission is bad intentions with comedy, you know. And if someone's gone up and they're purposely being a dickhead, but that's part of their set, and some people love it and some people hate it, well, what can you say? There's nothing you can say. I'll never go up to a comedian and say, mate, you're fucking out of order for this, that, and the other, because
Okay.
at the end of the day, they've got their time, and it's for the audience and the promoter to make their decision if they ever want to see that act again. Do you know what I mean? I do feel like promoters do need to sort of safeguard their audiences to a degree if they know that an act is going to be tricky, and if they know their demographic and stuff like that. But also, it's a tricky one because as a promoter myself, and you still need to get fresh meat in so that it's not a repeat of the same nights all the time with the same acts, So it's damage limitation that I kind of yeah, I've waffled on a bit there, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like, people who use comedy to be to be a dickhead is yeah, it's not really my cup of tea, mate. That.
Okay. And so, what do I want to say? So following from that, so with the event that you got going on about
Yeah.
men's mental health, what are you looking forward to most, and what is the biggest thing you're hoping to achieve with the people that are going there?
Um, I just want everyone. I just want everyone to have a good night. The biggest thing I want to achieve is to spread that awareness of people who are silently suffering, and to show the red flags. And the main purpose of this vehicle is to help men who cannot afford to go private counselling to get that therapy sessions in. That, and anything after that is just a bonus. If people follow me on my comedy journey, if I get another gig out of it, they're just bonuses, right? But that's not what I'm doing this for. What I'm doing it for is to bring the energy, to be to be an open book on the night, and yeah, just show people that if you are willing to change and help yourself, positive things will happen, because the negativity, it will go away. You just got to get your headspace better, and I think that's what the whole night's really about. Yeah, I think Dan's gone through so much himself. He's just going to absolutely tear the roof off the place when he headlines. And yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great night. Got some really big acts in it as well. So, yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm obviously a little bit nervous, but without nerves, you can't do a good performance. If you just rock up and you're just, yeah, I've got this attitude, no, it's not going to happen. I'll channel the nerves into something special on the night, hopefully.
But for anyone that's listening right now, so what is the yeah what is the biggest quote that you'd like to share, and also tell us the details of the event and how people can find out about you.
Um, Say the first bit again.
Okay, well, this can be anything.
Yeah.
And it's done a lot of podcasts,
My
but
my my biggest. Okay, so the biggest quote. It's not a very clever quote. Some people love these like really intellectual, like worded quotes. For me, the one that is in my forefront in my brain at all times is just, how bad do you want it? It's more of like a rhetorical question. It's more of like a statement. It's more, how bad do you want it? That is the only thing that's ever in my mind, because when it comes to stand-up comedy, I've stopped. I've just stopped everything. I've stopped drinking. I've stopped doing drugs. I've stopped racing motorbikes. I've become a better father. I've become a better husband. All this stuff I've done is to chase comedy because of that quote. How bad do you want it? There's no way that my wife would let me go out around the UK doing stand-up comedy if I was still drinking and doing drugs, because I would never be coming home, mate. That's the bottom line. I would be out with all the comics, lashing it up, staying at randoms' houses. I'm married, mate. I've got a kid at home. That's not the behaviour that would be acceptable. So how do you want it? How bad do you want it? That's the quote for me. Now, with regards to the night, it's going to be happening Friday, the 18th of July. You can get tickets on the Indigo website. It's just go in and search for Mate, which is Men in Their Emotions comedy night. We've got Daniel O'Reilly headlining. We've got Big Tom Davis headlining. We've got Simon Brodkin headlining. We've also got Tom Ward, and we've got Daryl. He's going to be doing a 10 spot on the night. You got me, the cheeky one, Heski, hosting it. And yeah, it's going to be amazing at the London Indigo. I can't believe it. The London Indigo O2. And if you want to follow me and my journey, you can get me on Instagram, which is Heski underscore stand up for comedy. And the reason I put stand up for comedy is because we need to sort it out. I feel like the subject matter and the people getting upset at comedy shows and stuff like that, we need to start standing up for comedy, because it's such an amazing thing to do. And if you're going to go to a comedy club and get upset about anything, you're probably best not going to a comedy club. I feel like anything should be said, anything should be joked about, and that's what a comedian's job has always been to do, in my opinion. But a lot of my own comedy is based on factual things which have happened to me in my life. I'm not a really well written joke writer, and I don't really do current time stuff because my time slots aren't allowing me that. But yeah, man, the journey's been amazing, and I feel completely privileged to be able to host this at the London Indigo O2 on the 18th of July, man. It's going to be amazing.
Okay. Guys, you know where to go. Hope you've enjoyed the episodes. We've got a couple of episodes coming up. I don't know if saying it is going to ruin it, but I got Kate Copstick that I'm talking to tomorrow from the Scotsman, well-known Edinburgh reviewer, and I've got Danny Posthill, an impressionist from Britain's Got Talent. That's
Nice.
likely to be what's happening, but who knows what could happen. The fact that I've said it out loud may mean that something will jinx it. But take care, guys.